Came too far to turn back. The return of the lyricist. Get it together. It's funny, like somebody had hit me up today, like, yo, I listened to this episode with Nina Daniels, and as someone who was weird in high school, it's just good to hear this, and I wish this was out when I was in high school, because they're like in their 30s now.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I did this, because I wanted it to be for people who were, especially people of color in high school, who feel like, yo, I'm weird, or I have these issues, and why am I going through this? To be like, no, well, we all kind of went through this, and we're all kind of like doing all right and grappling and all these things. But what's happened is, I've realized is that it's a lot of people like our peers who are all, and I'll say age peers wise, who are all like, oh yeah, I feel the same thing too. And it's just good to hear people who are doing on their journey and not like losing their shit, and be like, oh, I'm not the only person going through this shit. So that's why I'm glad that you're here. And you know, you're like one of the few people who heard my insane ramblings about how I wanted to even start this fucking podcast. Like you're here.
Now you're here.
Yeah, now I'm here.
Now you're here.
It's funny because like you're somebody who, I think out of that, I think it was like the 10 years ago meeting, it's like 9 years ago, and you see how like we all have like continued our journeys and things have changed, but like I think your journey has been something that's like very inspiring, I think, to people. For me, it's been like, it's just been very validating in the sense of justice, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
You know?
It does make sense.
Like, give me my flowers.
No, because they never give them to me. But no, it's been work. No. And it's not a fluke. Like, people think it's just a random ideas or Instagram page. Like, no, it's actually a whole website that's will be 8 years old in August.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so.
That's crazy. So you launched it a year after that. Like, what was the like how like?
Even in 2010.
I want to say it was 2010.
Okay, so yeah.
Or it might be 2000. I think it was 2010. I'm pretty sure it was 2010.
Okay, I launched August 2011. But I feel like there was more time in between there.
Yeah, because I want to say like it might have been 09.
Okay, maybe I have it wrong on my Instagram or my Facebook.
No, it's still fine. It's still fine. We'll
I share every year. Maybe the year is wrong. Okay, maybe it was a wrong share. But yeah, I started in August of 2011.
Yeah. Also, it's like, so did you know, like, when you were doing the event site, that it would blossom into something where it's like, oh, you're also having events too?
No, I had no interest in going into the event promoter space. I feel like it's it's a lot of money if you don't do it right. And I watched events who were like, were climbing at the beginning, and then out of nowhere they're not popular anymore. And I know like they've lost money, because I've lost money too. A couple years ago I actually lost a lot because I went to a lot of new cities. Yeah. And you had that bar guarantee. So if you hit that bar guarantee, you're paying that money back. And if you're in a new city, you might get a rental fee. So I had to pay a lot of money back going to new cities with my celeb beards. That's why I only do the 4 or 5 cities now, because y'all love me there and I make my money. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a funny thing, like, from the outside looking in, because it's like, we've talked about, like, I've put together tours for myself. So it's like, I know how it is to talk to some of these places, some of these venues, and they're talking about bar guarantees, and they want a cut of this and a cut of that. And you're like, I'm bringing an entire clientele base that would never come into this place, and they're ready to spend money. Right. And you're trying to G me up this bad off of nothing?
Yeah, they don't care. That's their business. They'll see how far they can push it.
It's so I mean, like, and in like the mental health space, like, I particularly want to talk to you about how, as a black woman, what is that psyche that you have to have? Like, what kind of stresses and anxieties and all the things that you might go through in trying to book this stuff? Also, the thing of, like, I usually only have, like, performing artists on the show. Okay. But you're one, I mean, you're a friend, so that's just whatever. But then the other side is, like, as an entrepreneur who has events where you have to be out and be kind of, like, on, I guess. Mm-hmm. And also as someone, as a friend, who knows when people are, like, doing have to enjoy facial hair parties and shit. You know what I mean? Like the it's like the you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I wouldn't do events. You know what I mean? Like they try to like build off of your shit. Like, no, it's I don't do clubs. It's must love beards. These are my brands. And like, how do you handle that shit?
Okay. Well, for the first part of the question,
yeah, I mean, it's that's gonna be the whole podcast. I'm just like,
refill the question because I forget it.
Okay.
But,
we're talking about an entrepreneur, a black female entrepreneur trying to get shit done. How do you keep your wits about you?
Okay. Well, first off, you're constantly underestimated or hit on.
Really?
Yes. And
is that in person or is it like on like when you go in?
It's when they see me. They
okay.
Yeah. But what's interesting about that is, on my business email address, I have my picture. So, I'm a woman. I don't have a co-owner. It's just me, corresponding with you on the email. But if I go there and I have my guy friend or a guy I'm dating with me, they automatically start talking to him. And I'm just like, you've never, there's no one else on this email. You've only known Genese.
Really?
And I'm like, hey.
And you have your picture and your name and all the correspondence.
Like it's a woman. So I don't know, because there's a guy here. I'm short and people think I'm younger than I am.
Yeah.
But it's,
yeah, you're 21. You're 21. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, sure. But people always think that I'm like, I'm the assistant. I'm like, how is that possible when you've been talking to me the whole time?
Yeah.
People that know me in real life, I have large breasts, so I tend to cover them.
I never knew because I was a feminist. I've always.
I mean, whatever, they're there. But I purposely like wear something that's like up here or like I don't wear, but because you'll start talking to my chest, and I have to say no, my eyes are up here.
Has that happened?
Yes.
It's so like it's so random. It's like growing up with like raised by a single mom and having those things like drilled to you, like, no, when you talk to people, when you talk to women, do this, and it's like to hear it, it's like, oh, word. I feel like white people when they found out like cops were killing black people, like that's really happening. Like, it's like it's happening.
It happens all the time.
Wow,
all the time.
That's how do you navigate that? Do you get like angry about that? Or
No, I'm just very direct. Like I'm not gonna laugh and joke with you. I'll say like my eyes are up here, so I'm serious. Or I'll say, why are you talking to him? And then they'll be like, they'll get a little like jolted, like, but because I've been on all the emails. I signed the contract. You have my credit card.
Yeah.
And then they'll usually get it together because they see I'm not a joke and I'm not playing with you.
Do you get like the fear of like, because I usually like when conducting my business, I have the fear of like the angry black man thing coming out. Do you have like angry black woman like?
I don't have that fear, but I'm sure I get labeled that. I mean, I hear stories about myself all the time that aren't true. Like, oh, she's a bitch, she's this. I'm like, or am I just direct?
Yeah.
I remember one time I was this early stage of Must Love Beards, and I asked a friend to help me find a DJ. I think it was for like DC or something. Mm-hmm. And he sent me somebody, and I went to his Instagram page. I looked at him. I listened to his music. He just wasn't a demographic. I'll just say that.
Okay.
And I didn't say that in the email, but I said, hey, I've decided to go in a different direction. And the story
that hurts, by the way. The different direction line.
Well, I mean, can I say you're too old? Can I say that your music won't attract us? Like, damn. I mean, I could say that, but I said, different direction. Either way,
old ass motherfucker.
I mean, he was clearly in his late 40s. I'm sure he's a great DJ, but that's not what we're doing here. So, and the message that was relayed back to my friend was, oh, she curved me. Are we dating, or did I tell you I didn't want to work with you? Like, just even that narrative of like, she curved me. She wasn't, she wasn't really trying to talk to me. I mean, but if it was a white guy telling you that, you wouldn't have the same reaction.
Yeah, I think sometimes with like us being like the culture of people of color, whatever the fuck we want to say it is, we get very comfortable,
right,
and we don't look at the reality of the business. Mm-hmm. And I've been fault to that before, where like I might be like, hey, let's do this thing, but it's also like business is being done and being conducted. And I think sometimes that depending on how that is, like if he said that you curved him to like a friend, I would be like, oh, okay, like it's not right. But if it's just like a friend,
the way it was said to me, it had like a dating tone, like she wasn't trying to really talk to me. I'm like, well, I mean, I just didn't hire you, so that's, you could have just said that. Yeah. But why do you feel like you
were curved,
or curved, or like that? It's I'm obligated to hire you. Like I don't. Yeah. I get that a lot. Like that's why I'm kind of careful about who I go out with, because I will get DJs coming up to me at parties and be like, you need to hire me. I'm like, well, I already have my DJs.
What?
And then it kind of gets, can get aggressive, or it can get what? I'm just like, I used to say like 5 DJs. Like, why are you surprised?
Yeah.
I just met you, and I'm not going to put you as a starting lineup for a national party. That happened a few weeks ago, and I was with my friend Rich, and I was like, yo, like.
Shout out to Rich, by the way.
Right.
Shout out to Rich. What up, man?
I remember, because I don't think he's like seen that happen before.
Stay Rich podcast. Check it out.
Right, true.
I'm just shouting out all this.
I said to him, I was like, next time, like, kind of, if it's more than a minute, just come over, because that means it's probably like, a thing that needs to end. And it was also late, and I had been drinking, so I'm like, I just don't even want to have that scenario of like me going off or you saying the wrong thing to me. So but you always have to be mindful of that kind of stuff.
That feels like it would give me a lot of anxiety.
I definitely have anxiety.
How do you like manage that shit?
Well, I didn't know it was anxiety until like maybe a year or two ago.
Okay.
So I would get into like new spaces and I would start to sweat on my face.
You had like legit attacks. Like,
but I didn't know that's what it was. I thought it was just hot. I was like, I'm hot, or maybe I've been drinking too much. And then one of my friends, Tia Brown, who also is having a podcast coming out later, but she's
shout out to Tia.
She's a therapist, and she was like, maybe it's anxiety. I was like, And I went to the doctor, and another part of being an entrepreneur, you pay for all your health insurance. So,
yo, this out of pocket life is scary as shit, man. It's like it's not for the weak, not for the weary.
It's all like great.
No, it's not.
And quite frankly, I couldn't afford it at the time. I was like, I can't afford a $300 bill every week to go talk to someone. So I just looked into methods myself to how to manage it.
But that's another reason why I wanted to do this episode, because I feel like, we were talking before the podcast, there are a lot of people who kind of want to make that transition from having the day job to doing the thing that they love.
Right.
And I think because of Instagram and social media, you think it's just the easiest thing in the world. And it's like, no, there are so many other fees and charges and levels
it's all on you all the time. There's no one to save you ever.
Yeah, if you think you got anxiety now, imagine what it will be when you don't have that check that you can just rely on coming in every so often.
I agree.
So she told you that you had that you might have been having anxiety attacks. Like what did you do after that?
What I read was like to assess the situation before you get in. So like, and also, is this reasonable? Like, why do you feel this way? And honestly, like, I can't really get around it. Like, if I'm going somewhere where I don't know who's going to be there and I don't know what kind of questions are going to be thrown at me, I just know it's going to happen. I just try to have water and like a little dab rag just in case, and then my friends are usually nearby. But that's really because I don't know how else to do it without getting on medication. And the lady actually told me, she's like, I don't think you need medication. You probably just need methods. Like, well, if it's just methods, I'm gonna read it on myself and save myself this $1,000 plus a month to talk to you. But
so much money.
It is just to, But, I mean, whatever. I'm glad that I know what it is now, because I really thought I was just like, are you drinking that much? But it's really not even
You turn it up too much at the party.
But even, like, every muscle beer, it's like, it happens. It's after the second drink, I will start to get a little hot.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you kept like, nope, it's fine. It's on time. And then, like, it will go away, like, in 10 minutes, and then I'm fine for the rest of the party.
See, I think now I'm starting to get... Not like more anxiety. Like I take meds for my anxiety and depression, which kind of like even me out, but they're like super low dosage because I was scared of like, man, I don't want to really be on medication.
Right.
But I also was like, man, I was trying the methods and they didn't work for me, so I have to do something else.
Right.
And it's like I remember like the last Muscle of Beers I went to, we were just sitting and talking on the side while watching everyone party, and it's like I love going to parties, but I don't know if I necessarily like partying with strangers. And it's a weird thing now where I don't know if that's like an age thing.
It's probably an age thing.
I mean, it might be an age, being in a relationship. It's like it's all those things. Yeah. But like, I just can't be in the vibes like how I used to be. Because before, I'd be like, hey, I'm here, I'm trying to holler, and then it became a thing of we're like, okay, now I'm here and I'm not hollering because I realize a lot of you ladies don't like me, so I'm just gonna be stupid and silly because I don't care anymore. And then now it's like, hey, I'm at the party, but I feel like my life is going in a great direction and I'm scared that you strangers are gonna ruin it, so I don't want to be involved with you and get it ruined.
You think strangers are gonna ruin your life at a party? Like what, drinking too much?
I don't fucking...
Is that like a real thing?
A real thing,
okay.
Yeah. Dude, I don't even know. Like, it's one of those things where it's like we're both quote unquote public figures. Mm-hmm. I would consider myself more public because I perform my stuff.
Right.
And there is that fear of like, what if you at a party and like I'm at a party and like some girl gives me a lap dance or something, and it's just like whatever vibes. Let's say that's this whole vibe, and just vibes, not a big deal, just vibes. And I'm getting a lap dance, And I don't want to get this lap dance because my girl's going to go nuts. And then that thing ends up on like, and not that it would because I'm not that quote unquote important yet to the world.
Yeah.
But if that shit ends up on like grape juice or some shit and be like, you know, or Bossip and it's like, you know, caramel, something got is this, and this. And it's just like all that attention. Like I don't want that because I try to separate my social life from my professional life.
Right.
And that is like, I remember when I used to do a little bit of promoting, like when I used to do like my karaoke parties every so often, it's like, that was something that was weird because I was like, oh, just come because it's a karaoke party, but don't come because you want to see me. Come because you want to enjoy this party. You know what I mean? And
you're working.
Yeah, because I'm working. And it's something that like, I fucking respect and also like a little jealous of your Must Love Beards brand because you're like, yeah, come, you like guys with beards, come. It's not like, hey, Genese is going to be here. It's like, no. Must love beards. You like beards? You like guys?
I think you can always
Ladies,
position it like, you know, your business and then you. Like, I don't hide my face.
No,
people
you
act
don't.
like I'm kind of like, you know, like now I'm like, well, my personal page is in my bio. Like, you can click and see my face.
Yeah.
You can Google me. I'm on LinkedIn. But am I like the only thing that's happening on I Don't Do Clubs? No. Like, it's really about other promoters. We just have this one party series that started 4 years ago, but the site is almost 8 years old.
Yeah.
People don't read. So, like, you know, they just always think it's me, you know, and I don't want girls to have men or, you know, I'm trying to block them or whatever. I get a lot of that.
What are some of the other things? Because, like, I, from the outside looking in, social media wise, because I like I'm keeping also on the podcast, like I'm keeping our private conversations out. So I'm just like, whatever you put on public, it's gay. Fair.
Okay, I don't care.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm careful about my public image. Like I really am. So
I know, but
you're not
I
gonna
mean,
find
we
much.
talk about that
right,
shit. Like,
yeah.
But the thing of like, people, do you have any anxiety, not attacks, but just like issues when people try to make a watered down version of your brand, and when you see that stuff constantly, how does that discourage you? How do you like maintain with that shit?
I find it annoying. I mean, I might say something to my friends. I put like in a group chat, and then I might allude to it on social media. But I'm not putting your flyer up so people can find you.
Yeah, no
the
free
good
promo.
thing about some of my followers, like they'll DM me, like, "Is this you?" And I'm like, you know, no, clearly it's not me because it doesn't say I Don't Do Clubs, and we have like, you know, our logo.
Yeah.
But I have had people like in the early days, like, would take our logo and then like change the word, or like would use some guy came to me. I think he's like a New York DJ, and said that like our mascot was him. Like, it's a black man with
I was
a
going to
fade.
bring that up, but I was like
every black man I hear, or most, you know, have fades and like a slit in their eyebrow. Like
you're fade shaming at this point. You're fade.
Sorry, I'm not, you know, but it was just like, so like, oh, you owe me money, like, because you a black guy with a fade, like, get in line, like, you know. But people like will try to stretch it, like, you know, beards aren't new to me. My father has a beard. I've never seen my father without facial hair. So like this beard craze, it's funny to me because I've always liked men with beards.
Really?
Yeah, that's where the whole thing came from. Like, it's not about y'all. My dad has a beard.
I thought it was. Oh, so there's daddy issue. No,
I adore my father.
Let's talk about your father. Let's talk about the relationship with your father.
I adore my father. And then like when I got older, for guys who had beards or my age, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. But now beards are trendy, you know, with all the products and all the stuff.
Yeah. This is such a random aside, but when did beards become? I think like maybe a year or 6 months before your party, I feel like beards became trendy.
Yeah, I can tell you how Must Love Beards started because it wasn't my idea.
Yeah, tell me about it.
We were at brunch. It was me. I guess I can say their names. Well, you know half the people.
Yeah.
Jenny, Anita, and Jeff. I think those are the only people that were there. And I was making fun of all the Instagram beard accounts. I'm like, this is so crazy. Like, beards have been a thing.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends was like, oh, you should have, I don't remember who, it was either Jenny or Anita. You should have a beard party. And I was like, girl, no one's coming to that. And honestly, a year or two before, I had an event series that didn't do that well. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not trying to lose no more money.
What was your event series?
It was just like an after work thing.
Okay.
No, well, that one did fine. My anniversary, the party, like maybe like the year before, 2 years before.
What was that for, the site? Or
it was for the site.
Okay,
it was like maybe
yeah.
like the, I don't know, 3-year anniversary, 4-year anniversary.
Okay.
But the thing is, back then I wasn't super in planning mode, so I forgot about the other events. So like Afropunk was that weekend, and then MTV Awards were here.
You were killing
and
yourself.
I didn't even think about it. I'm like, well, you know, that's a different crowd. Like, they're not coming to my stuff. That's industry stuff. And like
Most of the
maybe like
industry
20 people came,
yeah,
and I was like, I lost money. And actually, DJ Kamish, shout out to him.
Yeah.
He paid the bar guarantee for me. He paid the difference.
Yo, shout out to him.
Right? Yeah.
Like for real.
People have always kind of looked at. He's like, you know, you tried. It's okay.
Give
I'll
him the
take care.
flowers. Yeah, give him the flowers.
We're gonna take care of you. So I was just scared about doing that. And back then, like, the site wasn't really making any money. So I had my Ebony salary because I used to work at Ebony magazine, and then I had, you know, whatever I threw at I Don't Do Clubs, but there was no money coming in. Yeah. So I was nervous about that. But I was like, you know what? Don't be nervous. You got to try. So I had an after-work event for Muscle Up Beers. It was either Muscle Up Beers or She Loves the Bee. We couldn't decide on the name. So I put
He Loves the Bee.
Which now I see how inappropriate that is. But back then I didn't care.
Oh, my God. She Loves the Bee.
It was, whatever.
Jesus
so
Christ.
we put out both flyers and...
Chris, like, do you understand that She Loves the Bee?
I mean, it could have been fake too. I don't know. But we put out both flyers, and it was at this little club. I don't know, like I guess that's like Soho area.
Yeah.
And it snowed the day before. And I was like, no one's coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, another bar guarantee.
Anxiety.
Yeah. Like this would have started probably because I was like, I don't want to cover that. So I went there and I was like, just suck it up. You have the money, you just want to pay it. And there was a line around the block. And the women were the ones that were there. It was like snow was on the ground. The Wi-Fi had come out. It wasn't working in the venue, so they couldn't use their credit cards. Yeah. But the line was like down the block. That's and maybe nuts. Like 30 guys came. Mostly guys I knew. So that's when I decided I got to balance out the women and charge the women. So that's how that idea came about.
That is, you know what? It's because I forget about that, like, that whole time. Hopefully you don't mind like, talking about it, but like that transition from working at Ebony full time to being able to say, hey, I'm going to go pursue my passion full time. Like, how did you maintain yourself during that time? And maintain not financially, but just like mentally. Like, what headspace were you at? Were there things that you went through that were like doubtful? Like, I want to know everything about that.
I maintained myself by saying, I got to get out of here. I hated my job. Okay. And I started my career during the recession, so I worked a lot of places. Okay. Scholastic. I'm
doing it. I'm just.
That's a good company.
Yeah. They don't like. Scholastic is not fantastic because the black people in this nation have not.
I actually like working at Scholastic.
No, Scholastic is dope. Shout out to Scholastic and DJ Kamish so far.
Right.
And Tia Brown.
Hot 97, BET. Six Flags, Bridal Guide magazine. I think that's the first job I got laid off from. No, and NBC Weather Plus, which is now the Weather Channel. So I got laid off.
Oh wow!
Pretty much like every maybe 4 months, 6 months, I was getting laid off.
Oh, that's real nice. That's real good. Get out of here. Take some money and something.
It was fine until the last layoff where I was laid off for 9 months.
Which one was that one? That
was
Weather one?
After Six Flags, and then Hot 97 saved me. And even Hot 97 got kind of saved me because they weren't paying me nothing. But, like, it was something.
I want to shout out to Jeff just because.
I said it there earlier. But Jeff was the one that came in. Like, actually, I got laid off maybe in the summer, and I'd always found jobs. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. Yeah. And I remember at that time I wasn't friends with Jeff, but I was friends with you and Horace. Yeah, so I reached out to Horace, and I was like, hey, can you ask Jeff, like, if this job is still available? Yeah, and he was like, yeah, I'll reach out to him. So I had a conversation with Jeff, and he told me it was paying $26,000 a year.
Wow.
And I was like, absolutely not. I made more than that in Georgia when I first graduated from college. Yeah. So I was like, well, I'll find another job. And like 9 months went by, didn't find another job. Wow. Had gotten down to maybe like the last $2,000 in my savings. And I was like, okay, well, I just got to go back to my parents' house. Like, I don't have any more money. And he happened to call me when I was like going into another job interview who I hated, an interview that I knew I didn't want. Yeah. And he was like, look, it's still available if you want it. And I was like, I can't live off $26,000. And I was like, I'm going to have to leave you as soon as I get another job. And he was like, well, do it.
See, that is something that you really don't get, especially from an employer. Right. And I think it's a thing of like, knowing Jeff and all our connections and all that shit, it's like when you're a person of color and you have another person of color be like, yo, this thing is still here. And you're just being honest, like, yo, I'm going to get this shit, but when I get my things popping, I got to go. And him be like, cool, do that. That takes off so much stress. Yeah, it does. Because how many times have we gone on interviews for things and we're like, I know I don't want this, but I need the money to survive. Right. And even the sense of like being down and out for 9 months and being like, okay, now I just gotta fucking work.
Yeah, anything.
Like, so during those 9 months, right? Can we go back there? Like, what made you say, I'm not taking certain jobs? Was it like a monetary? It
was just money. I mean, that was.
It was just a money amount. Like, I need to at least have this. Okay.
I just like, how would I survive? I don't even know how much that is a month. Maybe like
that's
your paycheck. It's like maybe like $800 every time. I don't even know. Maybe not even that. And I think my rent at the time was like $1,200. Ugh. And that was before the boom. Like, so like.
Oh, before the. Were you uptown at that time?
Oh yeah, I had just moved to my Harlem apartment. Yeah. So yeah. The rent hadn't skyrocketed yet. Like, you could still get.
Oh no, it was coming. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but it was like right before. So I was like $1,200. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, how would I do this?
Oh my god.
But figured it out. Honestly, I took out a loan.
Yeah.
And then I also got a cheaper apartment, which worked because of my salary. They gave me a cheaper rate. So it kind of just worked out for a while.
You got to keep, also anybody listening, please keep your expenses low, especially if you decide that you want to move into this world of kind of working for self, because budgeting is your best friend, and the low expenses is going to save your fucking life. If you're used to making, if you're used to living off 2 G's a month or whatever and just killing them out here, know that you're not going to be killing them. Delete your Seamless apps. Right. It's just like one of those things I always tell people, and they was like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, well, you got to save some money.
Right. Oh, yeah, and I didn't have unemployment. So I was a freelancer.
You all fucked up.
So, like, everything was just like, I don't have, like, anything. And my parents are fine. Like, they have plenty of money. But I didn't want to ask, And at that last time, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to call my mom. Like, look, I tried, but it's not working. So I didn't have to ask them for anything. And I ended up being at Hot 97 for, like, 7 months. And then I went to Scholastic, which was cool. I think I was there for maybe 2 months, and then I got laid off. But they felt bad about it. And they gave me another job in a different department as for a copywriter, which I had never done. But I was like, all right, I'll give that a whirl. Yeah. And then
you did Ebony was
no, then I did BET for a little bit. I got BET eventually at 106 and Park.
I didn't know you was like, okay, that's fine.
Like really, like I don't know, maybe 3 months. It wasn't even long
for Blink. You just Blink.
It was there. Okay. And then Jamilah Lemieux, who was another Twitter friend,
shout out,
family member, had gotten hired at Ebony, and she was like, "Oh, they need a production person." And I was like, "Okay." She's like, "Well, you should interview." And I was like, "I'm just gonna go to say I interviewed at Ebony because you're not gonna hire me," and they actually hired me. Yeah. So then I was like, "Okay." So in between the BET and Ebony, I started I Don't Do Clubs.
Okay. Now, when you started that, was that from a place of frustration? Was it a place from love? Like, where did that come from?
Former frustration. So I was born in Montclair, New Jersey, but I was raised in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Okay. So, and I never was a new kid. I always went to like the same elementary, middle school, high school. Yeah. Tons of friends. No shade. I've always been popular. Like, that's not a thing. It is.
Weird flex, but okay. But, is that how you use it? I don't know. I've always been popular.
But you were saying like how people, had problems in high school. I didn't have any problems in high school. And I didn't have any problems in college either. My problems happened in New York.
Really?
Yeah. So like it was like a shock to be where I wanted to be and had like 2 friends maybe.
Yeah, like you're starting like not starting over, but like you ain't shit here. Like you had a base of community.
I was
in
wonderful
Georgia.
in Atlanta, but here it's like okay.
Yeah, and
like, who is she?
You black? Welcome.
Yeah. I mean, my board is mostly black, so that's another thing. But like, it was just kind of like
nobody gives a shit.
No one cared at all. My brother's girlfriend at the time was my friend. She's the one who encouraged me to come here, but she was also my brother's girlfriend and had her own life, so she wasn't super available.
Yeah, she wasn't like your friend.
Yeah, like
she was there by proxy.
My brother's name is James, so if James said, "Oh, we're gonna go do something,"
shout out to James. Yeah,
his birthday's on Thursday. But if James would say like, "We're gonna go do," and he's a jazz musician, so if we're gonna go to this jazz concert, I got 1 extra ticket, like. I would just be there, in New Jersey. And then I had a kind of a college friend. Okay. We knew each other in college. We weren't friends, but we tried to make it work. But I really didn't have any friends. Yeah. So like the first, I would say, year and a half, probably before I met you guys on Twitter. Yeah. I didn't really have a circle.
That
was so like jarring for someone who always had friends, always got invited, to now be a 22-year-old person who like maybe I guess 23, 24, and didn't know what to do or where to go.
That is so. It's like. I think, like, my vantage point, like, as a New Yorker who went to college in Jersey, it's like I've always had that community. I don't think I was the popular person, like, in the sense everybody wanted to be around me and shit, but I think people knew me because I was, like, stupid. You know what I mean?
Like funny.
Well, I'm funny, but you know how I am, like, where I'm just like, oh, this guy's not going to talk to us today. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. And it's just, like, interesting because when I met, even, like, when meeting, like, Jamilah, like, we had communicated and knew of each other just from online. And this was also a time before influencers.
Oh, right.
This was so long ago. Like, to think back, like, Instagram wasn't a thing yet.
And Twitter was new.
Twitter was so new.
And Facebook was semi-new because I got Facebook in college. Yeah. So this is a few years after college.
Facebook was semi-new, but Twitter was, like, super new.
Absolutely.
Where I think, and it's weird looking at it now, where I look at like the black, I want to say like like, the Black Twitter, like, alum or whatever, and everyone's doing this dope shit.
Right.
And have, like, parlayed their thing into, like, oh, I'm at Beats One, and I'm at this, and I'm at that, I'm at that, I'm at that. And it's just interesting. But anyway, you didn't have friends.
Didn't have friends.
Then you got your friends.
I got my friends through Twitter, and then
and then you said I don't do clubs.
No, that's not really what happened at all.
Tell me
So
what
when I
happened.
was at Bridal Guide, and also when I was at Hot 97, I worked with a lot of bloggers. And I was
Okay.
kind of fascinated by these people that are running these sites in their house, and no team.
Yeah.
And
Shout out to the bloggers, man.
yeah, like people who started without the help
Yeah.
of social media, like they were still just pumping out content
Yeah.
without anyone like really
They
pushing it
gave
along.
a shit about what they did. And
Yeah,
they
they were
did
just doing it for the love.
Yeah.
And at that time, there was a blog called Concrete Loop, which was a pop culture.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Concrete Loop, man. Oh shit, I feel old.
I mean,
yeah, no, but it's real.
Yeah,
but it's real
back
shit.
then I was really into like celebrity gossip. So,
Yeah.
Concrete Loop was black owned by a woman named Angela Laws.
Okay.
And she wrote a book about blogging. So I just bought the book just to be supportive, not thinking anything of it.
Yeah.
And I read the book and I was like jotting down notes. I was like, you know what? It would be cool to have a site that showed events that weren't clubs, because I don't like clubs. I've never liked clubs.
You don't do clubs.
I don't do clubs.
.com.
But in college, I went because I had to, because like there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing that as an adult, and I'm not doing that in a city I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was at my friend Jenny, who also went to Savannah State, but like we weren't friends. She's a little older.
Yeah.
And we reconnected up here. She was like a later friend. We were in line for a movie, and I was like, yeah, I think we'll do a site called either School Days or I Don't Do Clubs. And she's like, you should go do I Don't Do Clubs. So like the next 2 days or so was when we had this hurricane in New York where everything shut down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was like 2011.
Not Irene.
I don't know what it was.
Do you remember? Yeah, I remember there was like this one that kind of like crippled us.
Yeah, and they shut down the subways.
Yeah, they shut down the subways. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time it happened to me, where the subways got shut down.
Yeah.
So I was uptown. I was like, well, I'm here. I still had internet.
Sandy?
I don't think it was Sandy. Because I feel like I went to my parents' house in New Jersey for Sandy.
Okay.
Whatever it was. It
Whatever
was just
the
me.
hurricane
And
was,
I built the site using WordPress. And...
Yeah.
Is that Irene?
Oh
yeah, Irene.
It was Irene. Okay.
Yeah, so I built the site.
Shout out to Irene. Hey, girl. I know you listen.
So I built the site, and that's how it started. So it really was just like,
Yeah.
oh, this would be cool. And then it just kind of blew up.
Why didn't you like doing clubs?
I'm short.
Really?
So I'm 5 feet even, so people are always like bumping into me. People just usually don't see me. Like they'll be talking right over me.
Okay.
Drinks were always getting spilled on me. Guys like groping me, which I,
What?
Come on now, that happens in clubs.
I mean, but yeah, I'm such a dude. Yeah.
I mean, but
It's just because, like,
even if
it's
you're not
just
doing,
like-
it happens. Like you walk to the bathroom, someone grabs your butt, or like does whatever.
But that sounds so nuts to me. Like,
It is
like
nuts,
they're
but it
just reaching and
happens.
grabbing an ass
and then
while
you have
she
to make the
walks.
decision: am I going to say something or am I going to let it go? Because saying something could turn into something bigger. I just hated it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, you should. I would if someone grabbed my butt when I walked past.
So
I mean, it
that's-
happened that I don't do clubs. Muscle beard party. It happened before. Ladies are
We
vicious.
make mistakes too.
I mean,
But like,
I didn't say I have a problem with
was
it. I just
was
said
a
it
constant
happened.
thing,
I just
and
said it
didn't
happened.
want it
Hey,
to happen
girls. Hey,
anymore.
ladies.
So,
Yeah.
But I like going out. I like dressing up, and I've always planned events, like even like in high school and college. So
Yeah. I think there's this thing, like, I remember when the site was launched, and I remember going to, I forgot which part, I think it was like a rooftop party in Brooklyn, and it might have been one of, like, it might have been the second time that party was happening, and I'm trying to think who threw it, but it was, I think it was a team from What Would Men Do, when they had like a show, and they had like a,
Oh, I don't remember that.
but anyway, I forgot what it was called, but it was like, it was dope, because I remember at that time, I didn't like the club scene, and it's interesting because, like, for me as like a 6'3" dude, I just didn't like the club scene because I felt I've always had like this I feel like it's an issue with the icebreaker with talking to women.
Okay.
Because I don't like I don't like leading with the, hey, you're attractive, so I want to talk to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, for me, I'm like, so? Like, they're attractive, so?
Well, how do you usually talk to women before you got?
I don't know.
Okay.
It like, I'm big on a meet cute. Like, if
A what?
a meet cute. It's a romantic comedy thing where it's like, you walk into somebody and bump into them, whatever. Just like,
Okay.
but there's like has to be an organic reason for meeting somebody. So
Alright.
when I meet that person, when I was saying it was like when I met that person, it's like, okay, I met this person. It starts from here. So it's like we might both be getting a drink, and I might be like, oh, excuse me, and then like that is interaction enough, and you could build upon that. But it's never like I never liked coming from a place of just like, legit sexual hollerness at a club.
But does it have to be sexual just because you talked to someone first?
I feel like the sexual part of it is like a little like ingrained in it to a certain degree. And not like the big thing, like when just the word sexual, like what the fuck? But it's just like, you meet somebody like, oh, you attractive? I would. You know, not like you will, but I would. You know what I mean? And it's like, for me, I always had like, I think like I've had these weird issues with it because growing up around a bunch of women, like my grandmother and my mom and like like everybody trying to, I think they wanted to make sure that I was a type of guy that was respectful toward women.
Right.
And then when I'm with my Jamaican father and his whole situation is different, it's like, okay, no, can't do it. Chill out, see what's going on. But clubs just never worked for me because also I love to dance for real. And so when I would go out and dance, and that's usually would be my icebreaker, I would dance. And you're dancing, whatever, and then there'd be like some dude might hate, or like I remember like all that shit. I was like, I don't like that. So I liked events that were kind of like curated, like like it's cool, it's cool. And then I remember what I love about Muscle of Beards is like, you just gotta have a beard if you're a dude. You just gotta have some kind of facial hair. You don't have to have a full beard. If you do, it's better.
There are attractive men there that don't have facial hair.
Yeah, they come and they they do it, but it's just like, they do it for the culture. But it's just good that they come and they enjoy it.
Yeah.
When you said that you were at Ebony and you were like, I gotta get out of here, whatever, right? What, like when you came home from work, how did you keep yourself focused on doing the site?
So I'm a morning person. So I would do the site mostly in the morning. So I'd be waking up around 5 o'clock in the morning and just jump straight to it. I was like laser focused on getting out of there because I thought Ebony was going to be a dream job for me, and it wasn't. It actually was probably like one of the worst jobs I've ever had.
Why is that?
Mostly office politics, not having the budget. Like the Issa Rae episode where Molly's at the black law firm and all the things that happen with like the gossip and like no one has money. But that was what happened.
And you're also used to like working in other areas where those things are not a fucking issue. Where it's like the money is there. Like the people are on top of it. We getting work done. And then you're like, oh, is this social or is this business? Like, what are we? Or
people like just being like just so threatened by you for having digital experience. And it was like, well, I mean, this is what you want, right? Like you hired me to do the protocol. Yeah, the protocol to keep things in line, and I'm getting, punished for that. And I really thought that I would climb the ladder at Ebony, and it didn't happen. We were promised certain things when we signed on. That year mark hit, and I didn't get the raise, and I didn't get the title change, and I was the only one who didn't get it. And I was like, oh, this is definitely personal, and I'm getting the fuck out of here. Wow. So I was like, put my headphones on, put my my head down, and I just worked tirelessly. I was tired all the time. I'm surprised I made it. Like, I lived off coffee. I lost a lot of weight then because I was just like, I got to get out of here. Like, if I can't climb in Ebony, I'm not going to make it to white companies. Because I've been at the white companies. And they might congratulate you, but I never got promoted. And I'm like, well, if that's not the case, I just got to get on my own company.
You know what's so nuts? I have that same kind of mentality. When I got laid off, I was working at this place I can't say, but it was great. You can look at LinkedIn if you want to, guys. But
clearly I don't care anymore.
Yeah, you don't care. You're like,
I don't care at all.
But it's this thing where I'm like, okay, there's so little room for advancement at these places. And especially, I mean, and I can imagine it's different working at, I guess, predominantly black or like a black servicing or black facing company.
Yeah.
But when you're working somewhere and you're like, okay, it's going to take how much work to get to what place?
Right.
And I'm the only person of color, one of the only people of color here.
That's how I felt at Six Flags.
Really?
Yeah, because we all kind of started the same. And, one little white girl, she would wear really tight clothes. They wanted you to wear heels every day. I mean, I used to wear heels often, but I don't really do it now. Yeah. And they were like, fawing over her. I'm like, we're doing the same work. And like, she keeps getting bumped up. I'm not going to play this game. So I just, and I thought it'd be different at Black Company. It really wasn't. Just a different type of problem. But sometimes you just need to do your own thing. But it's not for everybody.
It is not for
everybody.
But you have to, it's like, you have to kind of know that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, for me, like, even doing, like, stand-up, I got into this game of, like, all right, what it takes to be a stand-up comedian. And even in that sense, it was another game that I had learned of like, oh, so I have to be...
Everything's a game.
Everything's a game. Like
social media, influencers,
everything.
Other,
I hate them all.
bloggers, your audience, trolls, everything. Even today, like someone wrote something rude on my in my comments, and I was like, I'm about to go in. But I was like, you know what? No, because I'm meeting Mike today, and this will take up the rest of my day. Because I know you're going to respond to me. You're going to respond, and then I'm going to feel the need to like say something. It's just going to escalate. Like, it's not worth my time. I do a lot of that now. Like, is this worth my time? Is this worth my energy? It's not. It's easy just to block you.
Does that keeps you grounded?
Absolutely. Because before I used to argue with people. Like, and then I just said, it will take up your day because you're arguing with someone who doesn't want to who wants the attention or just wants to be right. And I just said that's not worth my time or my, my energy or like my self-care. Like my self-care is really being offline. I'm not really on social media. People think I am.
Oh no,
but
you're never really on.
Yeah, I schedule things, or if I post it, like I'll post it and delete the app because it's better for me not to be on.
It's like, we've talked about it before, but like I'll jump in and jump out where it's like, okay, I have something to say, so I'll come in and say it and then I leave. Or I might, before I say something, I'm like, let me just check the temperature. What are we talking about, guys?
Yeah.
All right, I'm here. Got this one thing to say. Okay, bye.
Right,
I'll be back in a few hours.
And I won't look at replies until maybe 3 days later where I don't care as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I think like in the beginning of the Twitter, like during like our time, you can be on it all the time and you were kind of surrounded, at least on social media, by people that like you fucked with who were your friends.
Yeah, you weren't constantly attacked.
Yeah.
Or people selling stuff. It's like not genuine anymore.
Yes, it was literally social media. Yeah. It was media for people to be social. And then what happened was, I think people started to understand how to monetize their social media persona, and then they tried to always be that persona or whatnot. And I'm like, oh, now we're not, I'm unfollowed? We're not friends anymore? Or we're not cool or whatever?
People
and that
trying to monetize doesn't really bother me. It's the trolls, people that want to argue.
The troll. I don't get as much trolling. I've never sometimes like I'll get like a troll here and there, and now I just mute them. I don't even block them. I just mute. I'm like, you don't even got to know. I'm not even hearing you. I just because I don't.
You can't mute on Instagram, can you? You have to block, right?
On Instagram, you probably have to block, but they need to have a mute too. I think
they should.
The mute is like such a blessing.
Okay.
Because
you're more of a Twitter guy than Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm more Instagram.
Yeah, you're more Instagram. Like I'll with Instagram, like I just use it as like a photo album for like life in a sense of like, oh, this thing happened, I want to share it. But like I don't like really promoting there. I'm like, let that just be like kind of more me as a person, plus a little bit of glimpse of a person celebrating the professional success.
Right.
Where Twitter is like, oh, those are just some of my thoughts, and they're coming from the person, but also you might hear those thoughts as me as a comedian where it's in a joke form, or you might just hear as a person like, I don't care if you think this is funny, it's just what I think.
Yeah, right.
Or what I want to say. It's weird because like I want to really dive into the anxieties, or not anxieties, but like I know like when I got laid off and I was like, all right, this is the universe's way of telling me to do comedy, get up, get off the pot type of deal. And with your story, that when I hear that like you've been doing this as your career for so long, a lot of people only see the career part happening of you doing it,
right? But
they don't know how it was when you were no longer at Ebony, and because that wasn't the last job, was it?
Yeah, Ebony was the last
That's
job.
The last
I left
one.
in 2016.
In 2016, what were like some of your fears? How did you overcome those fears?
And I don't think I had any fears initially.
At all?
No, I mean I was ready, and the reason that I was able to leave was because my father is an accountant, right? And he was like, how much do you think you made this year? I don't know what number I gave.
Yeah,
a number. He's like, well, just throw, send me all your stuff, and add up everything. And I just kind of added up like the Muscle Beards money, and I forgot about the website money, and I actually made almost triple what I made at Ebony.
Wow.
And then I was like, like, oh my God, like, because I wasn't paying attention,
Wow.
And that's how I knew it was time to leave. Like, why are you staying here? Like, they're getting on your nerves.
So you were already making money.
Yeah, but that's why I said initially I wasn't. But 2017 knocked me down because that's the year that I didn't get the big. So I had a Miller Lite contract, which was $43,000, and I got that.
Good Lord, Jesus.
Yeah, and that's just for 3 parties. So that was 2016. In addition
I
to
will throw this water in somebody's face right now.
in addition to the money from the website.
I hope you guys enjoyed this last episode of this podcast because I got to get that Miller Light and money.
I mean,
Check out my new podcast, You Miller, coming soon to Loudspeakers Network. Jesus Christ.
So I had that money, I had the website money, and I had Muscle Beard. So I made a lot of money that year, and I expected to get another contract, and I expected to not have the algorithm change for Facebook, and then I expected to every new city I went to love me the way New York did, and it didn't. So 2017 was like, oh shit, like you need to prepare for when you don't get the extra stuff. So that's when I started to get scared and think, well, maybe I do need to get a full-time job. But then I would look at the jobs and be like, I don't want to do any of this. And then I would get called for an interview. I'm like, oh God, like I just did not want to be bothered. And then my friends would be like, my friend is an entrepreneur. He was like, no shade, but she's like, you're too smart for this. Like you cannot go work for people who are dumber than you now.
Can't do it
because
now.
You're gonna be like, what the fuck, and you're not gonna be able to like have your reactions. So
oh my God,
I feel like that's when I got the kick of like life in 2017, not when I first left, because I was still riding high.
Yeah. It's the thing like I try to tell friends about when you become an entrepreneur in whatever field and you're really just a freelancer of you.
Yes.
And understanding how that like really affects like your mental health. Like self-care is so important because it's sometimes like, okay, you don't get the contract.
Yeah.
And that's just a reflection of whatever it is.
Right.
But you also can internalize it because you're like, fuck, I didn't get this contract. I'm not going to get one next year. These people aren't coming to the shows, not shows, but like the events. Like, is my brand falling off? What do I have to do? Is it related to me? Is it my it's all these things. And it's very important to like just put out there that these are hurdles that people are going to have to overcome.
Right.
I don't think there's any entrepreneur who hadn't had to fight a crippling self-doubt at some point.
Right.
And the fear of not being financially stable. Like, you're going to feel that shit forever until you hit something great, but you also hit that great thing. And you have to
think with the next thing.
You have to
always think with the next thing.
It's always the next thing. And I feel like I don't feel as much anxiety with that now because, like I tell you, like, I got stuff to say too, but like where it's like, okay, this thing happens, that's cool, but if I continue to live within my means like I have this time, I know I've bought myself time for another year or another this much.
Right.
So you're like, okay, it's like, yeah, you do have to always think of the next thing, but now you have more time to think about it.
Right.
Because I think I remember we watch like rappers get on and then have all this money and then blow it.
Right.
Where we're coming from a place of like, okay, well, we've had salary jobs and we've made a living, and now you're doing your own thing and you're making a living. You're not caking, but you're like, oh shit, I'm making a living. I have some ownership of what I do.
Right.
And not only that, you feel that level of respect for yourself and you don't tolerate ignorance.
Right. Very true.
That's what's fucking me up a lot now.
Oh, it's like you're losing deals because of it?
I'm not losing deals because of it. And when I say fucking me up, it's not like professionally, but just like I'm trying not to lose my patience with certain things because it's like all the different machines work differently. And when you're an entrepreneur, you are a part of the machine as its own cog. And if you're running the cog, you know your cog runs. So when people want to put their cogs and run with you and do things, you're like, okay, cool. This is cool. We can do it.
If you do it my way.
If you do, yeah. Or not even my way, in a way that makes sense.
The right way.
Because my way might not be the right way.
Right.
But the thing that you're saying is definitely not the right way.
Yes.
And so, like, trying to come to terms with that, especially when you're, depending if it's another entrepreneur or if it is a brand, let's say, who's like, okay, yeah, we want to do this Must Love Beers party, but can we just call it She Loves the Bee? And you're like, we've been here before. It's not what we're doing. No, but I really think, and it's just like, listen, you came to me because it's called this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like little shit like that. And I think that's it. I think we covered everything. I mean,
okay, good.
How do you feel?
I feel fine.
Feel good? You don't feel like anxious or anything?
No, I feel fine today because I'm going I'm going with someone I know.
Okay.
But if I'm going to a place where I don't know what's happening, I do get anxious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
okay.
like conferences or panels where like people line up to talk to you afterward.
Wait, how would you get anxious with that type of stuff? Because that's like your natural vibe. Like
It's not my natural vibe.
No, but I'm saying like in a sense of like I don't think there's anything that they can ask you that would throw you off your kilter or anything because like that's what you do.
People don't ask you business questions. They ask you personal questions.
Oh,
that's what kind of throws you off. Or like
okay.
they take a little jab and you're like, nah, I gotta decide. Am I going to like say something back to you or let it ride? You know, that's a constant thing with me. And I'm just like, you know, because either way, you don't come out looking good.
Yeah, like I love being reminded of my male privilege.
Okay.
Because I forget about it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think I would ever do something and someone would like try to take a jab at me and I'd be worried about, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's what I would say. But I can imagine if you did it, they
people are
might.
more critical of women, and women are critical of women, especially when you ask them
Yes.
to pay for stuff.
Yes.
And then when you're, you know, maybe questioning their singleness or, you know.
The singleness, or if you are, I don't want to say attentive, because that's not determined. If you're determined and you might argue for things that you deserve,
Mm-hmm.
they might call you a bitch because of it. They
Yes.
might call you other things because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And as a dude, it's like,
You're
man,
assertive.
whatever.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
It's a weird. It's an interesting double standard that, you know, as a black man, I haven't created, but as a man, I benefit from.
I don't think I felt it until I had my own company.
Really?
Like, you always hear those kind of stories, but you see it directly when it's like you on the front line and, you know, someone tries to, you know, talk to your male friend because he's standing next to you. Like, you know that he didn't sign that contract. Like, I don't know
so
why.
mad about this.
No, because it happened for a while. Like, it doesn't really happen anymore because I have the same venues. But for a while, I'm just like, why are you talking? Like, why are you talking to him?
Yeah. Especially after you're emailing somebody back
Email
and
for
forth.
probably like, you know, a couple months.
Yeah, that doesn't make it doesn't make sense, but it's also like I wonder if those people who are the venue owners, if they're just stuck in their chauvinistic ways where they're like, it's the guy's here. Okay, now the muscle's here, and I can talk to him or whatever.
You know,
but it's
you
just
can't possibly be running this. Actually, I had a problem with someone who was on my team, but I found out they were like pitching the company and saying they were a co-owner. It was a man. You know, I handled that, but like, but just the audacity, and that's why I started putting, you know, created by Genese Jamilah, because I was like, I don't know what's being said out here, but I guess you could say that you're the silent partner, or you're the person that came with the idea.
Yeah,
you know, it was crazy that you don't know what's being said about you, so you have to constantly restate your story.
Yeah, be like, hey, this is me.
I was in my apartment in Washington Heights when the Irene storm was going on, and it created the website. No one was sitting there next to me showing me how to code because I learned how to code a few years ago. Yeah, so.
That's crazy. Is there anything like you want to like plug real quick or?
No, I'm still working on some things. It'll probably be out late April, but I just want to make sure it's done before people start Googling it.
Okay, cool. No, I totally get it. I'll make sure just to.
Muscle Beards is in Brooklyn on May 11th.
Okay.
So 90s party.
Yeah, this is probably gonna be out of time. Okay. Oh, 90s party?
90s.
Oh, word?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Your cross colors, your boo-boo.
Maybe my girlfriend might give me the night off because she was like, don't be dancing with no.
You'll probably be in VIP anyway with no one.
You know I am. You know I'm gonna be in the back. Just say, you know, I'm gonna be sitting on the fucking couch with you talking some shit like usual.
That's probably what's gonna happen.
Like usual. But anyway, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Boom.